Hi. Hey.
That was an experience.
It totally was. We are not talking about the movie, by the way.
No, not the movie at all.
Because the movie wouldn't warrant this kind of reaction. We've had some weather.
There was like a fucking monsoon.
We apparently, while we were inside in that theater, and I guarantee you'll also hear this in Brian and Jake's video,
Probably more so.
we had basically a monsoon roll through Springfield, which was really funny because throughout this whole movie you could hear it. You could hear it outside, you could hear the thunder, you could hear the rain, which was really hilarious because it made it look like anytime there was a scene in this movie where someone is standing by a window, it made it look like there were just severe continuity issues with the movie. Like, what the fuck? I can see it's beautiful outside. What the fuck, sound guy? Way to go, Coleman Francis. Jesus Christ. So throughout this whole movie, we're hearing just this shit going on outside. I'm getting alerts on my phone about flash flood warnings and shit.
Oh, my phone was going crazy.
And then, pretty far into the movie, and I mean really far into the movie, really far into the movie, the projector goes out. It goes out. Earlier in the movie, it went mute for like 5 seconds. So the
That's a bad sign.
Yeah, the power completely goes off for about like a second in the theater. And then the power comes back on, but the movie's not back on. So of course, everyone in this who was at any movie here goes out into the lobby to tell the poor, I feel so bad for the employees tonight. Holy shit, like, so they have to basically reboot the entire projectors and get it to where, some of them I think are fried, and other ones they have to get to where people just simply left off. Which when I worked at the movie theater would have been really easy because we were threading projectors. We could have just fired that bad boy right up. So it must have been like 40 minutes.
It was 40 minutes, yes.
People were coming into the theater for the next show. For the 9:40 show of the November Man, people were coming in, and then there were some guys in our theater who had to stop them and be like, no, if you stay, it might spoil the movie for you. So we're hanging out in the lobby with Brian and Jake. Their movie started up again much quicker than ours did.
But theirs had shut down 3 times.
Yeah, theirs had shut down. Like, apparently there was a 5-minute stretch in their movie that was muted. So we were shooting this shit with Brian and Jake for a while. Their movie started like an hour after ours did, but I don't know. It might sort of, well, no, I don't think it'll still catch up because here's what happened. They come into our theater to say, all right, we're going to show the rest of you guys' movie, but you got to go down to the next couple theaters over. You got to go down to like theater 7. So we're like, okay. We all go out into the auditorium over. The movie's paused, but they still have to find the place where we were. So it's kind of like when you're like just skipping chapter selections on a DVD. You know, there's a freeze frame there, and the girl is leaning her head out the projector window. Hey, all right,
is this it?
Have you seen this part? Yeah. And then, like, have you seen this part? And it's a still shot of, like, the computer screen. And I'm like, I think, like, it shows a computer screen a lot in this movie. Maybe that's one of them we've seen. And then they go again, and yes. And then another one, like, no, we haven't seen this part. It would have been great if the last shot was, like, really spoiler heavy. Like, if this was the Crying Game, just shot of dick.
Well, that last shot, too, it was just that would have been great.
What the fuck? I think that's the wrong movie. Oh, no, it's not. But the last shot, though, was... I wouldn't say it was spoiler heavy, because it wasn't a character who I expected to die by any means.
No, yeah.
So then the movie starts up again. There were only 2 minutes left.
Not even 2 minutes. Like 100 seconds, maybe, of movie left that we waited 40 minutes for.
It made it feel really anticlimactic.
Yeah.
Waiting like 40 minutes to see the last 2 minutes of the November Man. Like, it probably would have been kind of
it basically stopped right where the climax was ending.
Yeah.
And it was just gonna go... End.
right before Brosnan gets his daughter back, and then they meet up with girl at the train station. They leave. There's the part in the courthouse. The bad guy gets it at the end. End of movie. It was seriously like 2 minutes, and we're sitting there like, yeah, totally worth it. Everyone in the theater's busting up. That experience was honestly better than this movie.
Yeah.
Like this honestly gave us something more so to talk about, because the movie is I mean, it's not bad.
It was fine. It was standard. Is really
Oh, this movie defines just rental.
yeah. I was amazed it wasn't kind of straight to video, but one of those. Oh, that's like a decent straight to video.
Yeah, I mean, it didn't have the look of like a direct to video movie. But concept-wise, objectively speaking, plot, twists and turns that it had, there are some things. It's basically Pierce Brosnan's Never Say Never Again.
It really is.
Not only do you have Brosnan in here playing a spy, but you also have the girl in the movie is a Bond girl. I forget her name, but she's the Bond girl from Quantum of Solace. You have a villain who looks like Blofeld, but is about as intimidating as if Curly Joe Dorita played Blofeld. What have you done? Oh my god, you've totally messed things up. Really, this guy should be playing like the janitor in a high school movie. And the other guy, the younger agent in the movie, 20 years ago, this guy would have been played by Sean Bean. Looks just like a young Sean. He looks like Sean Bean straight out of Patriot Games. And you also have Brosnan's ex-flame in the movie named Natalia. I don't know, like, some of this could be purely coincidence, but others I don't think, so...
Yeah.
It's this generation's Operation 007. Only if Sean Connery was in that movie. There are some things that I kind of dug here. Like, it was really cool seeing Brosnan play like a much colder agent. Like, he was straight up playing, like, this would have been a Dalton Bond movie. Like, a few rewrites on this, I think this would have been a few solid rewrites on this. This could have been, like, one of the better Brosnan Bond movies.
And I completely, like, combine the Dalton, Brosnan, and Daniel Craig Bonds together, and that was kind of who he was.
I mean, I think the Timothy Dalton Bonds are way better than this movie. Like, Timothy Dalton Bonds are two of my favorite ones, but his character in this movie, like, he will just fucking murder you. It is kind of cool at the beginning of the movie seeing Pierce Brosnan say "sit it and spin it." He drops the F-bomb. There's nudity in it. He just shoots people in the back of the head. Blood flying out. He's a cold motherfucker in this movie. Like, that would have been really cool to see a Bond movie where he got to be this cold.
Yeah.
Like the scene where he's got the knife up against dude's girlfriend. Like, and that was like, wow, you would have seen Timothy Dalton's Bond do that, but you never would have seen Brosnan's Bond do that. I dug that. That was a scene in this movie I really liked. Because it was, Pierce Brosnan really can play dark. He can.
He is a really good actor, actually.
He's a damn good actor.
I can't really fault anybody in this movie performance-wise.
No, me neither.
Everybody was really solid.
Mm-hmm.
Some of the writing seemed a little weird, and
the writing was
unnecessary. Some of the casting is this whole movie takes place in like fucking Eastern Europe, and there's a shit ton of Americans there, just a shit ton of Americans.
Well, Eastern Europe, Hollywood.
Yes. That fucking blonde 20-year-old girl with a cat living in like fucking Chechnya for no reason. Just fucking American as apple pie.
I was expecting her to be like some kind of agent or something as the movie was going on, but she kind of just drops out of the movie like after Brosnan slits her artery right in front of the guy.
Yeah.
I liked Brosnan's Bond quite a bit, but Brosnan's Bond was the type of James Bond that was just the cool, charismatic. He was a Sean Connery-esque Bond. Like, he wasn't Dalton-esque. He wasn't as
what Brosnan was the superhero James Bond.
Yeah,
Brosnan was exactly what, at that point, everybody in their minds, when they thought of James Bond, they thought of gadgets and suaveness and a cool line. Mm-hmm. And that's exactly what Brosnan was.
Yeah, and he
was
did
a
it
very
well.
boiled down version of the character.
He was. He's the kind of James Bond that, like, you know, your dad's going to enjoy. And I enjoy, too. But very much that if
when GoldenEye first came out, I fucking adored that movie.
I love GoldenEye. I love Tomorrow Never Dies. The other two, not so much. But, I mean, he was always cool. He could easily carry a movie by just being cool, like Sean Connery. If you grew up and you were a kid when Sean Connery was playing James Bond, like my dad, for instance, typically many people who I talk to where that's the kind of Bond that they really like, then Pierce Brosnan's usually their second favorite James Bond. Me personally, I like more of a... It depends on what I'm in the mood for. That's how I am with James
that's the
Bond.
nice thing about the Bond movies is you can see what kind of mood you're in and pick a movie based off that.
Yeah, if I'm in the mood for something dark, sweet, License to Kill, or, you know, Casino Royale. If I'm in the mood for camp, there's a ton of Roger Moore ones.
Yeah. Moonraker, goddammit.
If I'm in the mood, yeah, fuck yeah. If I'm in the mood for just suave, cool, you know, Sean Connery, Pierce Brosnan, if I want to have my heart reached out of me on Her Majesty's Secret Service so I could bawl my eyes out at the end of it, I could watch that movie. That one's still my favorite. Your favorite's Never Say Never Again, right?
I love Never Say Never Again. I know it's not technically a Bond movie, like,
but it's
yeah.
I mean, I'm not going to fault anyone if they say that one's like their favorite Bond movie because it's Sean Connery in it playing James Bond, so it's not an official movie, but
no. I will say though, in the past couple of years and watching it several times, Casino Royale.
That's a great one.
I honestly just. There's other ones that have a great nostalgia place in my heart that I really enjoy, but Casino Royale might be, I think, the best of the Bond movies.
I still side with Her Majesty's Secret Service.
I know you do. I know you do. But, and that's the thing, like, Casino Royale is fantastic, and then there's Quantum of Solace, which is adequate at best. But if you put them together as a double feature, that's a fantastic watch.
Yeah, I can agree with that.
And Skyfall was a fucking blast.
Yeah, Skyfall is a lot of fucking fun. And this movie is just like, it's him playing James Bond on total not give a fuck mode.
Yeah.
And I don't mean that as if he's sleepwalking through the movie. I mean, he doesn't give a fuck. If you fuck with him, he's gonna fucking kill you. He will straight up fucking murder your ass. And
people around you.
Yeah,
to prove a fucking point.
Yeah. He will break into your house and cut a severe artery in your girlfriend's leg just to fuck with you. There was a point in this movie where I was sitting there like, is this gonna take a really dark turn? He's gonna end up like a villain in this?
Well, yeah, the first half of the movie I was like, who's the bad guy?
Yeah, I was too. And but also, yeah, just straight up seeing him drop the F-bomb several times was kind of cool.
Sit and twist.
Is that what he said? Sit and twist. I liked that. I liked seeing Brosnan do that. But yeah, I mean, you'll get, if you're a big Bond guy, and I definitely consider myself to be, then there'll be like little things here and there you'll kind of get a kick out of in this movie. Because I always actually thought Pierce Brosnan was actually pretty underrated as an actor. I wish he was given more chances like this to do in some of his Bond movies. This isn't that great of a movie, but he is really good in this.
Yeah.
And I loved seeing him play. I really liked this about the movie, that he is a straight-up functioning alcoholic in this.
Well, there's two scenes where he's drinking. There's only two scenes in the entire movie where he's drinking, but he's drinking like a monster.
Yeah, and it never addresses this. Just, if Pierce Brosnan's character in this movie, Peter Devereaux is his name, if Peter Devereaux in this movie is in any location where he can drink, he does, like a fucking fish. Just pouring whiskey into a glass, chug. No one ever pour, chug, chug. Fuck, when he's got the guy's girlfriend at knife point, he's kind of drunk in that scene. Because he just got shit-faced beforehand. No one ever mentions anything about this. It is just a thing that happens in the movie. And I kind of like that. I kind of dug that. But the movie itself, it's... I don't know, I'm probably making this movie sound better than it actually is.
Yeah, there's parts about it that are really worth liking, and it could have been so much better, but at the same time, there's so much about it that was just... Who gives a fuck?
It has too many things in it. Too many things in it that you've seen in a bunch of fucking movies.
Yeah. They take his daughter. Who gives a fuck?
Even way before then. Like, in the first 20 minutes of the movie, you've got mission goes bad, kid accidentally gets killed.
Yeah.
His love interest gets killed. He retires because of this. Comes out of retirement to help an ex-flame. She gets killed. So then it's kind of a revenge story, sort of. But then the guy who did it is the person who he trained. And now they're the trainer and the trainee are at odds with each other. It's a lot of shit you've seen before, while simultaneously being kind of hard to follow.
Yeah, it's just... Apparently it's based on a spy novel, which of course it is. But, yeah, it's just like somebody took a bunch of cliches and crammed them together and then sold it somehow to make a...
Yeah, and when cliches are done right, that's totally fine. This one is just a lot of them in a short span of time.
Yeah, the movie could have done a lot more with a lot less, you know?
Yeah!
Like, it doesn't need to be that... That's the beauty of most Bond movies, is that they're very straightforward.
This one's not, and
No.
it kind of suffers because of that. Because 1 minute, it's like a revenge movie. The next minute, they're searching for, like, a missing girl. The next minute, it's a corrupt Russian politician. So much shit is just going on in this movie, and some of it comes together by the end of it, but up until then, it just feels like there's 3 separate things going on at the same time, because in the first act of this movie, there's a lot of stretches that Pierce Brosnan is not in. Yeah. Like, a lot in the first act. And I'm like, where's Pierce Brosnan? Is he gonna come back again? I kind of am sort of following that plot line a little bit, or at least he's carrying those scenes, because he's really fucking suave.
Yeah.
He could still play Bond, too, isn't he? Like an older James Bond, way more than Roger Moore could. He's older. I believe he's older now than Moore was in Moore's final Bond movie. But Pierce Brosnan has still got it. I would love to see Pierce Brosnan make like an action movie comeback.
Oh, that fucking Expendables 4, goddammit.
Yeah.
Put him and Lazenby in the mix and
yeah. Are you kidding me? Fuck yeah.
As the comic relief on the side, the two British dudes.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, there. Fucking movie's written.
So sold. Their opening day. After how Expendables 3 went over, my first thought will be, wow, they're making an Expendables 4? Alright, roll the dice there, big guy. Sure, why not? I guess those overseas sales were really good. And then just random shit happens in this fucking movie. Like, it sort of looks like, Will Patton is the bad guy for a while, because it's Will Patton. And then later on, he's just sort of gone from the movie. And then the guy who's been held in captivity the entire time is sitting behind the desk going, I'm your boss now. At the CIA, what... I feel like I'm severely missing something here. Yeah. I'm not quite sure how this guy got out of captivity. I'm definitely not sure how he's in charge of the CIA now.
Oh, yeah, even just that little branch of it there. Like,
yeah.
The operation in whatever fucking country they're in. But it's just kind of like, I understand CIA, maybe, you know, flips of power, so on and so forth, intrigue, espionage, yeah.
I'm your boss now.
Yeah, and then, like, it's still the government. I'm like, I work in a government building. Like, you at least get a fucking email.
There's other shit, too. Yeah. Like, at the beginning when, like, it's just not... You just don't know enough about some of these people, because at the beginning when he sees young Sean Bean, that he's the guy who killed the girl, and then they don't kill each other and just kind of walk away from each other... you don't really know enough about their relationship until that point to buy that they wouldn't just kill each other in that moment. I mean, this guy shot the mother of his child. Yeah. And it didn't really seem like they got along, that he and young Sean Bean got along with each other that well in the opening scene. So it was... The writing's not that good here. It was really hard for me to buy that they wouldn't have just blown each other's heads off at that point. This is pretty early into the movie. I did like how the girl at the end is writing her article at the train station.
Yeah. Well, what I didn't get about that is, throughout the entire movie, this weird fucking Russian assassin girl.
I liked her.
Yeah. The weird Russian assassin girl tries to kill her.
Yeah.
Runs outside, hits her in the face with a fucking shovel, like out of a fucking Roadrunner cartoon. Knocks her down a couple stairs, picks up her gun, points it at her, doesn't shoot her.
No.
Goes back down into the train station to exactly where she was again, and just starts typing again.
To finish her article.
Like the badass Russian broad ain't gonna wake the fuck back up and come try and kill you again.
Yeah, and that's the last we see of badass Russian girl in the movie.
At the very least, shoot her in the fucking knee so she can't run at you.
Yeah! It's like, okay, you know, at some point you really probably should shoot somebody. That is one of those cases.
Yeah.
If there's this Russian killer who's repeatedly tried to kill you so many times in this fucking movie, if you're not gonna kill her, at least finish your article somewhere else.
Yeah.
I like when there was a guy who was about to sit down by the computer first. He's like, oh, excuse me, I was sitting here. Oh, sorry. Girl sits back down, finishes writing her article detailing, like, corruption on a very high level here. Man. It just... I don't know, like, it's like I said, a few solid rewrites easily could have fixed a lot of this if it was a lot more focused, if it gave us...
Just a bit of streamlining.
Yeah!
Some streamlining and just cutting out a lot of the unnecessary shit, like, you know, the little blonde girl giving her so much screen time. Like, she could have just been a random bar hookup. But at the same time, dude's on a manhunt for a guy he knows is gonna come after him, and he decides to go on a fucking date.
Yeah.
Where did he get that fucking bright idea?
The setup for that was so weird. I mean, I thought the payoff was good, because that scene of...
That scene was good, the payoff was good, but the setup was still so fucking weird.
It was, because young Sean Bean has a romantic interest in this movie, and he keeps seeing her because her cat keeps getting inside of his apartment. I don't really know how. In fact, throughout the movie, I was thinking that she was like some kind of agent and the cat was bugged or something.
I was thinking that too.
Right? And now I'm just like, how is this cat getting in there? Okay, whatever.
You would think after once or twice you know the cat's gonna try and get in your place. You like take a defensive position.
And it's very easy for people to find shit in this movie. Like, it's supposed to be, like, really secretive that Pierce Brosnan has this, like, secret daughter that no one knows about, but just a simple login into his files gets easy access to all of these random pictures of him and his daughter.
That no one ever put together before.
Oh, wow.
And so, like, the people he worked for didn't know he had a daughter, even though they have tons of pictures of her.
Yeah. We were in the theater for 3 hours to see this. I mean, granted, No, granted, we were in the theater for 3 hours. Well, I mean, yeah, this movie was not worth a 3 hour sit, but I hesitate to get too upset because there they are. Because I think they were at a much
How was the payoff?
Terrible. Did they completely restart yours? Why are you still out here?
No, it was great. Ours was literally 2 minutes away from finishing. We had to go into another theater because the projector fried out, so we walked into the theater like 2 theaters over to watch the last 2 minutes of the movie where nothing happened. It totally worth it.
Yeah, we had to wait probably another 20-25 minutes after you guys went back into your movie.
Yeah, yeah. Oh man, we could just wrap this up. Yeah. I've got nothing else to say. It's easily a rental.
And not even a bad rental. You know what? Fuck even, don't spend money on this movie. It's not a bad movie. And unless you have a very distinct interest in it, I wouldn't rent it. It's gonna be on fucking TNT.
Oh yeah, I wouldn't really, because this would be edited to shit if you watch it on TNT. But
okay, Redbox rental.
I could
rental.
justify spending a couple bucks to rent it. If you rent this and it's like a rainy, rainy Friday night, but
you're
not in the
home-
theater where it fries your projector.
You're homesick from work, and since Bob Barker doesn't host Price is Right anymore, this is what you watch instead.
Yeah, you will not have that bad of a time. It might be a little confusing, but if you like Brosnan and you want to see him do some darker shit, pop it in. Why not? I can't justify seeing this in the theater. All right.
That's it.
See ya.
Bye.